His guests are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production unit of ILS, the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without the express written consent of the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2017. All rights are reserved.
The role of a woman in the society is to submit. Birth control are the pills of the devil. Education is so fundamental to the development of a people. I'm murderous. Simple as that. What am I voting for? Voting will change nothing.
Tout le monde haïtien, como yé. God save the Queen.
Broadcasting live from ILTV Studios here in Nassau, Bahamas. Welcome to Freedom March. My name is Rodney Monker. I'm a Justice of the Peace here within the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And, of course, I'm a member of the Catholic Christian community. On my way to the studio, it was raining. And so my special guest and my spiritual advisor, both of them have not arrived as yet. Well, my spiritual advisor, as you are aware, is Bradley Roll. Bradley, I'm waiting for you in studio. Take your time. It's raining. And my special guest today will be noted attorney Wayne Monroe QC. I asked Mr. Monroe to come in urgently in view of the fact that this idle F&M government has announced in the daily newspaper that they intend to close down the island of Ragged Island. And I think it is stupid for the Bahamas government to announce a decision to abandon Ragged Island in the aftermath of Hurricane Irma, which has devastated the island. Certainly, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis is unaware of the hurricane history of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. For hundreds of years, these islands have been battered by all kinds of storms. You don't abandon a whole island. What do? You move in and you begin to rebuild. How big is Ragged Island? One Negro male said to me, you can measure Ragged Island from Arawak Key to the Hilton Hotel. So Arawak Key is approximately 9 miles long. And you mean to tell me a small little area like that, Dr. Minnis, the Prime Minister, can't find some big tractors, go down there, clear up the island, and start the building process? The government is as idle as one of these newspapers, the Tribune or the Nassau Guardian. Did you see the headline in the Guardian and the Tribune? One said that the island is unlivable, and the other one says that the island is unlivable. Who got it right? The Tribune, who said unlivable? Or was it the Tribune who said unlivable? No, it was the Guardian who said unlivable, and the Tribune said unlivable. Who got it right? I'll look at it when we return, because I am disappointed in the Tribune if they got it wrong. And I would be very disappointed in the Nassau Guardian if Candia James got it wrong. Is it unlivable, as the Guardian says, or unlivable, as the Tribune wrote? This is Freedom March. Today, I'm going to play intellectual. I'm going to play teacher. I'm going to criticize the Guardian or the Tribune to see which of them got the word right or wrong. I'll be right back after the break.
Freedom March with Rodney Monker will be right back after this. This is Freedom March with Rodney Monker.
Welcome back to Freedom March, broadcasting live on ILTV studios here in Nassau, Bahamas. My name is Rodney Monker. I shall be joined in studio by noted attorney Wayne Monroe QC shortly. He's on his way to the studio, but many of you are aware there was a big squall of rain. So those who are heading to the studio or driving about the island of New Providence, take your time, okay? The car will get wet anyhow, so take your time. You will note that I'm wearing a brand new bow tie, and it was purchased by one of the women them, Snowflakes. Snowflakes, listen, I thank you, and may God bless you for these wonderful bow ties that you have sent me this morning. Well, folks, I'm certain that many of you would have seen the Nassau Guardian and the Tribune. And it is so interesting that many of these intellectuals have been questioning my English language them. Even though when I talk, people are able to understand what I am saying. And even though many Negroes have told me that every time I talk English, they do understand. But there's been a class of intellectuals who has or who has sought to examine my speaking gifts. So today, I shall now look at their writing gift and their style. The Tribune, as you are aware, is run by people who are on work permit. So the Tribune pay plenty money to import them into the Bahamas and to work at the Tribune, because the Tribune is aware that there are many citizens who turn to the Tribune when they are training in the skills of the English language. I can also say that the same thing is applicable to the Nassau Guardian. But in more recent time, as I watch these smart people, I'm beginning to understand that sometimes they themselves can't speak good English, even though they may have come from England. So let's look at the two headlines in the Tribune and the Nassau Guardian. The Nassau Guardian being the oldest newspaper, having been established according to legend in 1844, and the Tribune, which is over here to my right, which I think was established about 19 what? Well, Sir Etienne came back from World War I think around 1914, and the pa had already had this paper. I can't remember when the Tribune was established. But this is the Nassau Guardian. And I hope my technical people are able to zoom in. Are you all able to zoom in? So that my people, the Negro people, will notice. This here is my left. This is the Nassau Guardian. My right hand is blocking the UN. What is UN? What that means? Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Let's try it one more time. There it is. Can you see it better now? Now, over here to my right, goodness of mercy, this is the Nassau Guardian. It says unlivable. UNLIVABLE. And over here to my left is the Tribune. And the Tribune says that Ragged Island is unlivable. UNLIVEABLE. Well, who do you think got it right? Oh, I'm so saddened today that Candia, that I am so saddened that Candia over here to my right, this is my right, she got it right. It is unlivable. But the Tribune, who imported a bunch of people from the United Kingdom, my God, y'all is the white people from England. How y'all could get it wrong? It's not unlivable. Unliveable. Unlivable. So the Tribune should hang its head in shame, and whoever wrote unlivable should write unlivable 300 times. Okay, Tribune? Unlivable. And if anybody has any doubt, I'm prepared to consult decent white Nikki Kelly, because Nikki Kelly knows the English language very well. So where the heck the Tribune come from but Ragged Island is unlivable? Goodness of mercy. For that, I don't know what I'm going to do. I love the Tribune. Tribune, how y'all made this mistake? All them white people. All them white people inside the Tribune from England and Scotland and London. And y'all ain't know? It is not unlivable. It's unlivable. 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 Ah, and you mean to tell me that the Tribune paying to bring in these white people and they can't know the difference between unlivable and unlivable? You got Candia. Candia ain't from England. Candia is from in the back of Mount Pleasant Village. How the hell she know it's unlivable? And all them smart white people the Tribune bring here got it wrong. Oh boy, I don't know what I can do. But I thank God that I'm smart enough that even when I'm not smart enough, the people them who work with me will teach me. And this morning, the intellectuals in my group said to me, which one is right? And I said, well, I can tell what is right. Let's look at the headline. And since they know I am Tribune friendly, they said, watch out for newspaper. And by grab, the Tribune, if I wasn't smart, the Tribune would have cost me to lose. All right? It's a national disgrace. And unless the white people at the Tribune write a letter of apology for misspelling this word, I'm going to call on Brent Simnett not to give the Tribune any more work permit. Y'all might as well find one Negro man from in the back of Bain Town, because we know he expected to know the English language. Them white people, he's a good, decent white people in the Tribune. How they can spell it wrong, man? It's not unlivable. Or y'all was quoting Dr. Minnis. Huh? I don't know what's going on, but I just thought I'll let y'all know that. I met some very interesting Negro women today, so I'm going to salute them quickly. Let me start off by giving my condolences to a Negro family living in Charles Vincent Street. I was so saddened to learn that Miss, where is it? Just bear with me. That Mrs. Beverly Johnson. She is one of the women them. She lives in Charles Vincent Street, and she passed away a couple of days ago. So to the children of Miss Beverly Johnson, to Charles Vincent Street, please have my condolences. I'm so saddened over the passing of your late mother. And then, of course, I want to salute a Negro lady that I met today, Miss Judy Richards. And she declared that she was one of the woman them. And I thank God that all around the Bahamas, the woman them are recognizing true leadership. And they recognize that I'm prepared not only to fight for the woman them, but for the man them and the children them. So Beverly, so Judy Richards, I hope you will join me in the upcoming march this month. And then Judy May Meadows, she's one of the women them. Her husband first resisted, and she worked with him, and she showed him Freedom March. Now, they are competing for Freedom March. Brother Meadows, I salute you for allowing your wife to be a part of one of the women them. And I've heard a petition, and I promise her that things will be done. She knows what I'm talking about. Please let Mr. Meadows know. Well, there's been a murder on the island of Freeport, Grand Bahama. And according to Negro people, the count is now 100. It is like if the F&M has gone into the murder business. They can't find job, but there's lots of murder. 100. We're counting dead bodies. So let's look at what the websites are saying, because Evan Thompson, right? Police apparently are investigating a shooting incident that have left one Negro male dead and another Negro male in serious condition. And we are learning that the victim has been identified and that he was on bail, apparently, and the police has this slick talk. He is known to the police. I don't like that talk. But they say he is known to the police, and reports are that on Monday, the 11th of September, 2017, sometime after 12 a.m., police were called to the Garden Villas area where there were reports of gunshots being fired. And upon making further inquiry, police discovered two males with gunshot wounds about their body. And one was pronounced dead at the scene, and the other was taken to the Rand Memorial Hospital, where he's listed in serious condition. Police are actively investigating this matter and are appealing to the general public for any information that can assist the police in solving this matter. They want the public to contact them at telephone number 350-3107, 350-3107 through 12. You can also call 911-919 or call your nearest police station. It is a national disgrace that in the midst of all this talk of it being the people's time, that the Free National Movement has not been able to put one single dent in crime. It's terrible. It is also intellectually dishonest, because the people of Freeport deserve no murder. And why do they deserve no murder? It's the people's time. And there are 5 powerful representatives of the people. And what are they doing? Are they talking to the young Negro male? Because it's only the young Negro male who's committing this murder. The Conky Joe people, if we don't be careful, only Conky Joe's going to heaven. And I'm not pleased with that, because I don't think only the Conky Joes should go to heaven. I think all of God's children should go to heaven. We're killing too much, man. And in the nation's second city, look at the devastation that took place on the island of Grand Bahama. And we have Michael Pintard, who's the minister responsible for young people. And Michael couldn't motivate a donkey. God forgive me for saying that. That might not be a kind thing. But Michael Pintard couldn't motivate a jackfoot, because had he been able to motivate, he should have been all over Grand Bahama talking to the young people and inspiring them through art, through drawing, through song, through dance, through culture. But Michael is not cultural. In fact, he lacks culture. I saw Michael over 30-odd years in the back of the bush. I keep telling y'all, I'm disappointed I had that man in the back of the bush giving him good political indoctrination. The next thing I know, the man has run foul. You know, it almost reminds me of one song. My donkey get lost in the bush, my donkey get lost. I mean, look what's going on. We're counting dead body. And every other day you got to come on with the same topic. Instead of me pronouncing baby has been born, I got to be talking about murder. And my God, a whole Negro man murdered. And this no good, weightless F&M government, my party, ain't coming up with no solution. They even wouldn't tell the people to stop killing. The least the Dr. Minnis could say to them is to stop the murder, particularly after they kill a whole baby. But that is how unfortunate it is, and it is a sad day because no solution are being offered to turn the murderers back. I have been demoralized over the last couple of weeks, but praise the Lord, I have something to be thankful for, in addition to the fact that God has spared us from most of the devastation of Hurricane Irma. My darling wife, she's been released from the hospital yesterday. She's not out of danger totally, but I thank all them doctors and the nurses, particularly the staff of the female medical ward too. I thank them for taking good care of my wife. And I've been saying to the woman, I said, listen, why don't you, let's hide. I want you to hide from children, all your family, all them people in the church. Let's hide. Let's hide from them, right? Last night I hid her away, and I'm trying to convince her. Let's hide, all right? I want all these people to stay away from my wife, all right? But I thank God that she looks good, tells me she feels good, and God is good. So, Lord, I thank you for sparing the life of my wife, and God is good. When I return, notwithstanding that I'm thankful for God's blessing, there's some people I have to curse out because I've received message from the Honorable Speaker, and I want the Speaker to recognize, notwithstanding what he may or may not have heard, I have not insulted your wife. I've not, and I will never do that because I'm the leader of the woman down. And be careful, Mr. Speaker, because I'm prepared to match you word for word, and I'm prepared to curse you out. So watch out what you say, because I ain't scared of you. This is Freedom March. I'll be right back as I toast.
Freedom March with Rodney Monker will be right back after this. The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by Rodney Monker, his guests, callers, and advisors on Freedom March are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production unit of ILS, the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without the express written consent of the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2017. All rights are reserved.
Welcome back to Freedom March, broadcasting live on ILTV Studios here in Nassau, Bahamas. My spiritual advisor has not arrived as yet, and Attorney Wayne Monroe is on his way to the studio. I decided I'll take a look at the Bahama Journal. You know, Wendell Jones is a smart Negro businessman. Instead of getting mixed up over the spelling, unlivable and, as the Tribune call it, unliveable, Wendell Jones's Bahama Journal says that Ragged Island is destroyed. And that is why I want Wayne Monroe to come, because Wayne Monroe is from Ragged Island. And I want to see if people like Wayne Monroe and them who got good education, they're good businessmen, if they are not prepared to restore their ancestral island or to just abandon it, as Dr. Menace, who's not from Ragged Island, is suggesting. But while I wait for Monroe, let me look at a statement which was issued by the incoming deputy leader of the opposition Progressive Liberal Party, Chester Cooper. And this is what Chester is saying. He calls for help for Ragged Island. And I shall read a little of his statement. In a statement released yesterday, Chester Cooper said, while Exuma received some roof damage, Ragged Island sustained major devastation. This island lost its school, teachers' residence, clinic, administration building, and 90% of the residences received major damages or complete loss. Cooper began his formal damage assessment and relief efforts yesterday, which included a plane load of food and water. Lord, I thank you for Chester Cooper. Lord, I thank you he's not like Halston Moultrie. I thank you, Lord, that Chester Cooper sent plane load of food while Halston Moultrie and his wife were stingy and were not willing to give the little sardine, the little corned beef, and the little tuna. And I want Halston to know that this morning, this time, a Negro male constituent contacted me, having heard the joyous message that I have condemned Halston and his wife for the poor treatment of the poor of Nassau Village. And so the man has called me, and I shall now publicly declare that unless Halston Moultrie asks God for forgiveness and donate food to the poor people, I am willing to accept the invitation to come to Nassau Village and to march the people them, because the people are suffering. My God, Halston is richer than Chester. And if Chester could send a plane load of stuff to the constituencies which he represented, a couple of islands, Halston only have Nassau Village, all right? And he's wrong. And I want him to stop telling people that I insulted his wife, because I never insulted Mother Moultrie. I know her. She from Martin Street. I know the whole family. So stop saying that, okay? Because if you continue to say that, and I hear it again, I've been working on how to twist that, and I don't want to twist that. All I'm trying to get you and the wife to recognize that once you took political leadership, she must join you in taking care of the woman them. All right? As a woman, she must always sympathize with the plight of the woman them and their children. That is her job. And if she don't want you to run, then she should have made you not run. But once you accept the nomination, it can't be like this. And it's horrible what is taking place. All right? So I am very disturbed. But I'll go back to Chester. I'm now convinced that Chester is a saved man. My God. Look what he's done. He tells us that 90% of the residents receive major damages or complete loss. Cooper, Chester Cooper, began his formal damage assessment and relief efforts yesterday, which included a whole plane load of food and water. Meanwhile, Halston Moultrie lived right down the road in his own constituency. And you mean to tell me, Halston, as rich as you is, all the food, I had an undercover man go to watch what you buy. All that food you got, Alston, look what we've come down to. It's food. We've come down to basic necessity. And my God, all that food you got, you mean, all right? And stop saying, I insult your wife, or I will say that you are a greater insult that she has to bear for the rest of her life. You don't do that to me. I'm a justice of the peace, and I's the leader of all the women them, and I respect the woman them. All right? Now you go and get your wife to go and distribute little things. My God, I was so emotional when the woman told me the condition of her child, special child. All we got wrong is special children. And when the poor comes with special children, who ain't know why mama ain't got the food? You mean to tell me? But let me tell you, Halston Moultrie, the men of Nassau Village has contacted me. And I've told them I'm prepared to march around Nassau Village. You too mean. Can't you be like Chester? Chester ain't got your kind of money. Chester can send a whole plane load of food. All right? It's horrible. And I'm disappointed in Kim. I'm from across Baintown and she in Grandstown through Martin Street. All right? She grew up in the Catholic Church. When she was in the Catholic Church, she was saved. It's just like as long as every time these women leave the Catholic Church, they go contrary. I don't know what's going on. So stop saying it, because I've never insulted your wife. I know all of her brothers. They're taxi drivers. They're my colleagues. And I'll never do that. But I am disappointed, and you better stop sending message. Or I will, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to rent a bus. We're going to do a tour. Know where your MP live, with your big house and your nice yard with all them pretty flowers. I ain't jealous, because one day I'm going to fix my house after the storm, all right? But the men are upset, and I can't say on radio what one man described. It ain't a dirty word, but it's an unsafe word, all right? And I'm disappointed, Halston, because I know you could do better. My God, when he coupled in the Saturday, little corned beef for the woman and the special child. You know, can't do that? Special child. All of us got little retarded children. All of us. Okay? When I was born, they thought I was retarded. They thought mama used to curse. People look at me, she's retarded. And my mom threw a couple of strong words at them. All right? So I have a soft heart. All right? My mom would curse those who thought I was retarded. All right? I'm still special. All right? So be careful. Be careful, Mr. Speaker, because I know plenty things. And the man them of Nassau Village, they've called. I'm from Black Village, they from Nassau Village, and I'm prepared to go there and organize a march, all right? You should hang your head in shame. How you could claim to be safe, huh? Stop lying to the people. If you can't afford to buy a little tuna or corned beef, ask Brent Simonet. If I had a constituency and I can find a little sardine or tuna, what do you think I got Brother Jacks there for? I'll call Brother Jacks. Brother Jacks, my constituents, they're doing bad. You and the wife and the children, you're going to have to help me. And I can tell you that any woman or child that I was to say to Brother Jacks, I need a little tuna, little sardine, only one question he would ask me. You ain't the daddy, eh? I said, no, Jacks, I'm not the daddy. This is all doing God's work. Anyway, while I was running on, because I'm receiving intelligence, right, over the sins of the speaker, all right? And you better leave me alone, or I'll spend the next month examining you. Because I've instructed Joe Blacks to go to the Nassau Guardian and bring me a public disclosure. Better be careful of me, all right? Okay. Well, while I was running on, Attorney Wayne Monroe, QC, has entered the studio. Mr. Monroe, welcome to Freedom March.
Thank you, Brother Monka.
Come on, handshake. This is great.
Very sorry about being late. Got caught up in that rainy traffic.
Listen, when I left my office, I wondered if I would be late. But I came up with a strategy. I opened my window and I showed it to one fella. I'm a justice of the peace. Can you let me get to the studio? He was about to curse, and then he saw it was me. He said, okay, Monka, go right ahead. And, you know, and I had to go because there's a group of Negro men through Mason Edition up on top of the hill. Lala and the boys, they're gathered listening to Freedom March. Lala and the boys, I salute y'all and I thank y'all for assembling on Mason Hill, Mason Edition Hill. And listen, you see that old stone house? That's my grandma's house, eh? Y'all don't leave no dirt there. So this is powerful.
Yes, sir.
Monroe, I don't know if you've seen the newspaper today.
I saw headlines.
Well, the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Dr. the Honorable Hubert Alexander Minnis, he was on a tour of the islands. And when he landed in Ragged Island, he was moved by the mass destruction to call for the abandonment of an island that has experienced hurricane for hundreds of years. Were you born on Ragged Island?
Yes, I was.
You were born?
Lived the first 4 years of my life there.
At Ragged Island?
Yes.
So you are Ragged Island, if I can use that kind
I'm
of
from
description.
the Rock.
You're from the Rock.
Yeah.
Do you like the idea where after getting a good education and recognizing that your navel string is buried on that island, do you like the idea of abandoning? And when we listen to some of the arguments which the Prime Minister has advanced, I think it's kind of stupid. It appears, I can let you talk right now, like only the pig survive. And the goats die.
Not all the goats.
Oh, there's some goats that survive?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Well, firstly, I haven't myself. I'm careful about what the press reports about what the Prime Minister says.
Okay.
Until he officially says what he has to say, I think we have to take it with a grain of salt. Salt being what we do, one of the things we do up in Ragged Island.
Okay.
But apart from the politicians doing their touring,
Yes.
there were descendants from Ragged Island, one engineer, Ellery Lockhart, who went up to make an assessment on a flight. Also, I sent my practice manager, Amanda Curlin, somebody who visits over and over again, so we could have an assessment of where the island is, what the situation is.
Yes.
By all accounts, the scent they talk about is there's discarded fish in an area, probably because of the urgency of the storm coming, and one or two of the goats may have drowned when the water rushed in. I suppose if you've never smelt a dead animal, it's a big thing, but I gather that was the case in Long Island too, and it's the case in every hurricane, that it catches some creatures unawares and they die, and you may smell them later. A lot of the houses are damaged badly, and Ellery took shots of all of the houses from the perspective of that an engineer would need to see, and they already have a plan. You like this, Brother Monka, I think they say the two buildings with one of the least damage is the Church of the Holy Innocents, the Anglican church, lost shingles and one of the hurricane impact windows, and the bar.
The bar room.
Yeah.
That is intact.
That's where a lot of people who are there now are sleeping because it is still intact.
Okay.
So the place where you get boat spirits on Ragged Island, still rock solid.
May God name be praised.
But there are other structures that are in good shape. I've been hearing all sorts of things about you have dead animals, fine, go round them up. You have nails everywhere, fine, go sweep them up. You have the electricity be restored, fine, restore it, and water.
How big is Ragged Island?
That island is 9 square miles.
9 square miles?
3 miles by 3 miles. The actual settlement
Yes.
is, if you think about Arawak Key, from the western end of Arawak Key,
Yes.
go to the Hilton,
Yes.
that's it.
That's it.
That's
so
it.
you are consistent with that because I asked you that question before, and that's the answer you gave me.
It's persons live along 2 streets there, and then you have the Salt Pond, and then you have the London. But it's a very small control area. You're not talking about Acklands or Cricket Island where you have miles in between settlements. You have one settlement.
One settlement.
That is in essence from the western end of Arawak Key to the Hilton. Now I would think that that shouldn't take much time if you're worried about nails and a couple big broom.
Or a bulldozer.
If you're worried about animals, well, you go and deal with that. That is what the government does for taxpayers.
Why this mysterious solution? Why just abandon the island?
Well,
what does your instinct suggest?
Well, you have to be careful about this. I don't want to be accused. I've heard all sorts of conspiracy stories that they've been trying to get us off for ages, that they want to turn it into a military base for the Defense Force and the Americans, all manner of things to be closer to Cuba, because you know that the Flamingo incident happened off Ragged Island.
Yes, I'm aware.
And so we hear all sorts of stories, but I don't think we need to get carried away with that. Carried. The fact is, there are houses that are damaged and we have to rebuild. There are houses that can be quickly resolved so that persons can live in them. I'm quite sure that the Anglican Church would be willing to move out some of the pews and persons can occupy the church, because after all, the church is there to minister to people.
Yes.
And so you have the ability to stay. I don't understand the concept I've been hearing that you leave so the government could demolish the structures and build a brand new city. The major problem with that is most of the land in that area is not crown land.
It's private land.
Yes, so the question would be, how do you accomplish that?
Does it suggest that perhaps the government will use the acquisition of Land Act?
Well, you can always do that, but what's the point of it? I was at another studio with my former law partner, Elliot Lockhart, the former FNM MP for Exuma.
Yes.
At the time he was MP for Exuma, Ragged Island was with Long Island.
Okay.
But clearly, it's not a matter about politics. And Elliot's point is very simple. We want the government to do what the government will do, and we will do what the people should do. So he made a commitment, for instance. We saw the photo with the house that he was born in damaged. He committed to repair it in honor of his grandparents.
Wow, that's powerful and noble.
And I have no doubt that he's a man of his word. That is what he will do. And you will find that there are many, many people from Ragged Island that you will have that degree of commitment.
Yes.
And that is as close as you come to having emotion come into it. But we're practical people. The person who went down to do an assessment and advise us was an engineer. That is, in fact, his job.
Yeah, but can an engineer outdo a lawyer who's the Minister of Works? Because I saw a photograph where the Minister of Works, an attorney, and the Minister of Education, another attorney, was assessing the schoolroom. Who would you rely upon, the engineer or the learned attorney, who are the Minister of Education and Works, respectively?
Well, Brother Monka, they would have been having what we call a photo op, a photo opportunity.
Okay.
Because ministers are policymakers. And
Policymakers
make policy,
yes,
having gotten the advice and reports from the experts. So you can go down and look at something. It makes no difference what I think. So if you come to me and say they damaged me, a doctor damaged me, I can't decide that it's medical negligence. I have to get an opinion from an expert.
Yes.
And depending on what that expert tells me, then I form a case.
Right.
But it's inconceivable, as you say, that hurricanes have been hitting this island for hundreds
of
years, and persons have lived there. We hear the story of Edward Lockhart on Buena Vista Key, who they say tied himself to a lignum vitae tree so he wouldn't blow away.
Wow.
So it's not as if people don't know what they have to do.
Yes.
And you have accounts of people in some of the other southern islands using caves for shelter.
And how often in our lifetime have we experienced, or the Bahamas has experienced, a Category 5? It is almost as if the FNM is going to suggest every year there's going to be Category number 5 or higher.
Well, one of my young cousin's house, he's a fisherman down there, didn't sustain much damage. It was recent construction. And so, yes, if you have a house that's been built for 70, 80, 90 years with the rubble stone, you may have issues. Archdeacon Cartwright shared with us at a meeting yesterday we had at Victory Bible Church that the Anglican Church went through the Southern Islands and retrofitted its churches when it had to repair them.
Yes.
In a manner that preserves some of the old.
Well, it comes down to the next question. One of the things that appear to have been lacking is that there has been no clearly defined policy or law whereby we ensure that hurricane-proof structures are built.
No,
And if I was to take you to...
No, we have a building code now. If people are permitted to cheat on the building code, that's a different story.
Okay.
The Americans switched to our building code,
Really?
which was much more effective than theirs after Hurricane Andrew.
Okay.
And so when you saw the destruction that used to happen when they moved the hurricane clips and bell quarters and that, you had less structural damage.
Yes.
So we have an aggressive building code. But if you're talking about buildings that were built 70 years ago, that would be before the introduction of the code, clearly. And so now that some buildings may have to be demolished and rebuilt, I'm told that my grandmother's house was flattened. If that has to be rebuilt, of course, it will have to be rebuilt according to our current building codes.
Yes.
And we might want to think about green options like solar panels for the roof, because Ragged Island is a very sunny place. And so you have a concept that, yes, you will have some destruction, yes, you will rebuild, and you will rebuild according to code. But this concept that you have to move everyone off a space the size of Awaki and Long Wharf, where there are buildings that people are living in today. So it's not unlivable, as the Guardian says, or as the Tribune misspelled, because people are living there now.
Wow.
And some persons who were at the meeting last night at the church flew back to Ragged Island today. And more persons are looking at going back up on the boat on the weekend.
So how long would it take the boat to get? Do you have any idea?
I don't have any idea, Brother
Well, I
Monica.
think you should find out, because I can catch the mail boat with you, but I need to be back in time for the show.
Well, what is being proposed, if we can arrange it, is the boat will go Friday and come back in time for people to go to work on Monday.
Really?
Yeah.
You think you could get somebody to pay my way down?
You with me, Brother Monica. We
Listen.
going live on Ragged Island as soon as we work it out.
Brother Jocks, you won't go to Ragged Island? On the mail boat? Jocks love flying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. While I'm sailing, he's above me, flying.
Oh, well, you could go down on the mailboat. You can fish on the way, all kind of
Yeah,
things,
man.
Brother Monica.
Listen, man, I gotta go. Joe Blocks, you won't come? All the brothers, y'all won't come? But if you come, you're gonna have to work.
Freedom March with Rodney Monker will be right back after this. This is Freedom March with Rodney Monker.
Welcome back to Freedom March, broadcasting live on ILTV studios here in Nassau, Bahamas. My name is Rodney Monker. My special guest is noted attorney Wayne Monroe QC. When we took the adjournment, we were discussing the Prime Minister's call for the Negro people of Ragged Island to abandon the island. Apparently, the Prime Minister and his delegation smell the carcasses of a bunch of dead creatures. It appears that only the hog survived. And so, having discussed that with Attorney Wayne Monroe, who is organizing the mail boat to go down there, and who knows, I may join him, I want to talk about decent Candia, not Candia, Candia, you're on my mind, with your wicked self. I want to talk about Chrissy Love. I understand that her ladyship, Justice, what is the name of the judge?
Cheryl Grant Thompson.
Cheryl Grant Thompson has issued her what I'm not a lawyer, but when I'm in the presence of lawyers, I like to play smart. But I understand she has issued her a summons, or some people may call it a subpoena. I don't know if it is a subpoena a testificandum or subpoena ducus tecum. And to my producers who in the background, I can hear everything y'all are saying in the background, and therefore y'all are distracting me because I can hear everything y'all say. And I don't start to repeat those things, all right? So Monroe, I understand that there's a summons for Christina Thompson, Chrissy Love. Can you look at the summons and help me out with it? Because, you know, I'm a layman, and I need to know what is going on. Because as I understood it, it appears that Chrissy Love has launched a vicious, nasty attack on a judge of the Supreme Court because her ladyship granted bail in accordance with the law to Shane Gibson. Now, as I understand it, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, I understand that Shane Gibson served in the Parliament of the Bahamas for many years, was a minister in the government of the Bahamas for many years, has been charged with a number of offenses. But the law makes provision that if he applies to a judge of the Supreme Court for bail, and if the judge concludes that he's not a flight risk, that he shall return to court, the court may grant bail. But apparently, the judge has been savage by two Negro citizens. One, Omar Archer, who I understand the Archers have said he's really one of their former slaves, descendant. They say he's not their Archer, but one of their slave descendants. That's what they told me. And a light-skinned Negro lady by the name of Chrissy Love. You have that summons, Mr. Monroe?
Yes, well, I have what purports to be it,
Read it.
having been circulated on social media.
Okay. And folks, if it appears that I am being sour, that is because I have mixed my water, and it isn't sweet. Go ahead, Mr. Monroe.
Well, it's directed to Christina Thompson, a.k.a. Chrissy Love. It says, you hereby summoned by the Honorable Supreme Court of Justice Grant Thompson to appear before the court on Friday, the 15th September 2017 at 10 a.m. or soon thereafter, as the court can sit for Miss Christina Thompson, a.k.a. Chrissy Love, to show cause why you should not be committed to the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services for contempt for your behavior in producing and circulating malicious and adverse commentary on social media to the general public by live broadcast between the 3rd of August to the 31st of August, designed to interfere with the administration of justice in the Honorable Judge's deliberations and subsequent rulings in the matter of David Shane Bethel and the Attorney General of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and they give the citation and the pending constitutional application and criminal trial. And then over the page, the charges, particulars of the contempt are: one, that you referred to a judge of the Supreme Court as a big stinking PLP.
What?
The PLP is the Progressive Liberal Party, a political organization currently in opposition in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Two, that you accuse a sitting judge of the Supreme Court of deliberate bias in a criminal matter. Three, that you were requested to attend before the Honorable Supreme Court on the 31st August by A.S.B. Johnson by the direction of the court, and you did not appear, notwithstanding that an attorney, namely Damien Gomez, QC, appeared on your behalf. And four, that your behavior and action, by your behavior and actions you sought willfully and intentionally to interfere with the due and proper administration of justice in a manner which is sub judice, and to bring the administration of justice and the judiciary into disrepute. And it goes on. I can't quite make this out because of the screen. You are hereby ordered effective immediately, Miss Christina Thompson, a.k.a. Chrissy Love, by yourself, your servants or agents or otherwise be restrained until further order from publishing, causing, be associated with publication or permitted to be published any remarks whatsoever directed towards this honorable court. Now that's as much as I have seen.
Wow. So my understanding, therefore, is that an Officer Johnson had told her on the 31st of August that she was commanded to come to court.
That is what the summons says. You will recall that you're far more clever and cautious than this crew. When the Supreme Court Register summoned your tape,
yes,
your position was, if they call you, you will go.
Of course.
And throw yourself on the mercy of the court.
Yes.
And then you wouldn't get this summons saying why you
Right.
shouldn't go to the Bahamas Department of Corrections.
Well, while ignorance of the law is no excuse, I do know that Chrissy is very ignorant and Omar is triple ignorant. You see, I'm able to say that because I am aware that the then Chief Justice, His Lordship, Sir Gonsalves Sabola, in a case ruled that even if the summons you got appears to have all kind of defects, you are to still show up at the court to find out what the facts are. And you must always come to court. So I'm guided by case stated. I'm trying to play intelligence, eh?
We playing lawyer.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm playing JP, you see?
That's correct.
And as a JP, I happens to be a part of the court. Mm. Is that not so?
Oh, yes.
I'm a quasi judge of the court. So, you know, I have to obey. So, she should have obeyed. But having not shown up, she's now issued a summons.
Yes.
And she really doesn't have any excuse in view of the fact that she had instructed noted QC Damien Gomez to appear. You can accept my word as...
No, I read that, and it would have been wise for her to attend with Damien. And Damien, you see, judges are like this. No judge particularly wants to send someone to jail, you know.
Okay.
And so they'll tell you, come before me. You'll have some idea what it's about. Like you say, if they tell you come because of that tape, you
Right.
would throw on yourself on the mercy of the court. You're sorry for anything you did to offend it, all of that. And
Yes.
even if it may have been offensive, the court may be crazy and say, I believe you, Brother Monka. I believe you, Miss Thompson. I reprimand you, go and sin no more.
Oh, hallelujah.
But when you push an issue, then you find yourself subjected to the straight line position that really and truly the more you do it, the more serious it is. For instance, somebody brought some of it to my attention where they're saying, oh, how come Omar Archer is charged with criminal libel and didn't get bail. Well, that's the fellow who jumped from a two-story court
Yeah.
building trying to escape custody.
Right. They forgot that.
And so you look at the facts, and on top of that, it wasn't a bail application. I had made a constitutional motion to say that that provision of the Bail Act was unconstitutional because it robbed the court of jurisdiction and resulted in arbitrary detentions. And we were there on an application, and the Crown conceded that bail should be granted. So, you know, the only issue they put before the court is, oh, he's a flight risk. But the Court of Appeal says you just can't say that. You have to prove that.
You have to prove that.
How do you say the man is a flight risk and he came in to you?
Right.
You called him to come in and he came
And he shows
in
up.
to you.
Should the court have looked differently in view of the fact that Omar jumped through the roof? I mean, through the
Through the window.
through the window and broke his leg.
Well, what you will have is the court will look at what leads up to it. If the
Okay.
police have to hunt you down to find you and take some time to find you, then that may be an indication that if they let you go, you may not come back.
Okay.
You know, the case I used in a number of matters is a case where, out of Bimini, where the Court of Appeal upheld John Isaacs granting bail to two Americans who were charged with murder of a fellow who was trying to rob them. And they were permitted to travel to the U.S. And they came back for trial.
Wow.
And that's the fact. And there's another young man who's charged with manslaughter of a fellow who was said to be trying to break onto the vessel he was a mate on in Bimini. And again, he was given bail and he travels to the U.S. and he always comes back for trial. And in all of these rape matters now that the U.S. ambassador said we must charge everyone against whom an allegation is made, a lot of those are made against Americans now.
What'd you say? What did the U.S. ambassador say?
I think it was when it was, who's a tall Caucasian man who was very friendly now. Oh, his name slips me. He came out and he complained that we weren't taking sexual offense allegations seriously, and from that time the attitude of the police changed, and invariably...
He meant rape on American
sexual
rape on
assault.
American?
No, he just said complaints of sexual assaults by Americans.
Okay.
What he might not have conceived is a lot of the accused are Americans. And so we've had any number of cases on spring break when people go out. One matter I did, the young lady said, no, the fella didn't have any sex with her. One of her friends had said he'd had sex with her, and the police charged the boy, who had to come back and forth, interrupting his college education. But the point is, he left and he came back.
Okay.
So where in the world is Shane Gibson going to run to?
And what evidence, unless, of course, she intends, meaning Chrissy Love, to subpoena the PLP files?
Well,
Because for her to accuse the judge of being a member of the PLP, what evidence does she have?
well, I'll put it to you like this, because I defend these matters, eh?
Okay.
And if I was giving her my best defense, I could say, okay, I'm not saying you're a card-carrying member. That's not what that says. This is what that says. But when you make an open accusation of bias, then you have a problem.
Yes.
Because you'd better be able to prove bias. I'll never forget I did a case before Dame Joan Sawyer when she was a trial judge, and I asked her to recuse herself because of the appearance of bias. And she went at me in the afternoon and she would ask me, are you saying I'm biased? Well, as a lawyer, you have to be careful. If you say a judge is biased and you don't have evidence of bias, you're going to be cited for contempt.
Right.
Because you cannot accuse a judge of bias without specific
You have
evidence.
to have specific. And in support of that, I was charged before a magistrate whose husband had just written me a demand letter. In fact, he wrote me 2 letters. One letter was to pay a bank $12,000 or. And another one he wrote on behalf of Atlantis, in which he made threat. So I was able to get up and say, my lady, I need you to recuse yourself.
Yeah.
And she said, why? I said, well, you married to that man, right? And he wrote me a letter. On the intellectual level that both of you all are at, I have doubts, right? And so she adjourned, and as she adjourned, according to legend, she ran into the chief magistrate, who then, apparently, they could see her in the court. I didn't know they could see her now. Every time I go to the magistrate court, I look wrong and wrong, right? To figure out how the chief magistrate was seeing us. If I knew he was seeing us, I really would have talked law. And apparently the chief magistrate, because she announced to the court, I'm going to consult with the chief magistrate. And by grab, it was like in a twinkling of the eye. So she came back and she recused herself. But my feelings were still hurt. You know where they sent me? To the juvenile court.
But you know, there you were saying not that she was biased, but that a reasonable person may have a suspicion of bias.
Yes.
Or there may be a reasonable apprehension of bias, and she clearly decided to defer. But you know, we have this culture now that people are forwarding all of these things.
Yes.
And some actions are going to start where people will be made to understand when you forward something that's defamatory, you have published it, the person can sue the person who is in the voice note.
My attorney.
The person can sue, every person who forwarded it can be sued for defamation. Yes. If I record a voice note to say, Monk is a thief, and I send it to 10 people, every time they publish it, each one of the 10 of those persons can be sued for defamation.
Wow.
And
But you got a lot of people to sue, because that boy at the Guardian, man, I wasn't sworn in yet. Good. And he declared that I was a criminal.
well, you know, Brother Monk, I tell you, after the march, after the Freedom March,
I've never seen nothing like this.
I was energized, and I have drafted your letter. We have to meet so you can tell me how much money it will cost you to feel better about yourself and forget the insult.
Well, I need enough to repair the roof, because the hurricane opened it a little bit more, and to add on one more room.
I see.
You see?
And so we may actually have to, if you can get the technology, find everyone who forwarded his voice note.
Or I got a man who could find it. There's a man in in Grand Bahama.
I know who you mean.
I think he's an apostle. Apostle C.A. Allen.
C. Allen Johnson.
C. Allen Johnson.
Yes.
Right.
And so once he brings up the list of all of the people who forwarded it, you can look down the list and say, okay, you have that man, you have Guardian Radio. Now let's see who else forwarded this, who has some money.
Right.
And you can take some of their money
them
from
who
them.
ain't got no money better tell me sorry. All right? If you ain't got no money, you have to say sorry to me. All right? If you don't say sorry, you better find some money. Okay.
Yeah. And so...
So you think Chrissy will show up now that she has a summons?
Well, you know, she don't...
But she don't play, you know.
Well, you know, if she bad, she wouldn't show up. The next time...
Listen, she don't play. She's a woman who's raw and kaiser.
Well, the next time the police come for her will be to transport her to the Department of Corrections.
Oh, Lord. I don't want Chrissy to go to jail. I like her. Chrissy, obey the summons, eh? And show everybody that you're safe. Okay? You know if any for Omar? Because the FNM has described him as a political prisoner.
Well, then he'll have to be a prisoner to be a political prisoner.
Okay?
He would have to go into a correctional institution.
To be a political prisoner.
Oh, yeah.
This is powerful.
Oh, yeah.
I just wonder what Menace is going to do.
You can't be a political prisoner on the way from the police station to the court. You have to actually go to jail.
To be a political prisoner.
Oh, yeah. And you have to stay there.
Wow.
And you got to go on a hunger strike. Or you got to beat your head into the bars, something to qualify as a political prisoner.
Omar has a strong appetite.
Go on a hunger strike. No?
No, I don't think Omar has a strong appetite. So, essentially, this is a very serious matter then. where a judge having sent for you orally, right, apparently not wanting it to be contentious and so forth.
Well, giving you an opportunity.
Giving you an opportunity.
Yes.
Wow. It's amazing, eh?
People take kindness for weakness, you see.
I think it's the new F&M era of irresponsibility and recklessness and thinking that you can just defame and curse out all of the institutions. I think that's what it is. They got away where they malign PLP officials and so forth, and they have graduated. Now they've taken on the judiciary, made a better institution win. Right? I wonder what Damien is doing. I saw him this morning. He was walking along Shirley Street. There was so much traffic. I wanted to stop him to say, will you be in court? And I wanted to know if this court was going to be open. You think it's going to be open court?
Yes.
So that means I could go to court?
Oh, yes.
All the citizens can go to court?
Oh, yes.
Listen, history is making. Friday, the 15th of September. Very important day, because I think one of my uncle's birthday is that day. Everybody should dress up and go to court.
I don't know if it's history making. Remember now, Senior Justice Stephen Isaacs had summoned your colleague on this station now.
That's right.
Before him.
And then before that, Gonsalves Sabola had summoned Wendell Jones. Yeah.
And all of them had the good sense to go, eh?
Yeah. And then His Lordship, Justice John Isaac, summons John Pender.
And he had the good sense to go.
Well, John is a saved man.
I'll give you a story that I recalled. I did a case for Kyle Smith. It was a homicide matter. A young boy who killed another young boy and then was in a home with his body for a couple of days, eh?
Right.
Had issues, mental issues.
I remember that case.
And he was convicted of manslaughter. This is before Justice Joan Sawyer. And Michelle Fox, I'll never forget it, she later became a lawyer. She was a journalist with the Tribune, I think, wrote a story to say Kyle Smith convicted of murder, Justice Joan Sawyer adjourned for sentencing. And Dame Joan sent the police to summon her, just as Cheryl Grant Thompson did. And when she came before the court, she said to her, this man is convicted of murder. At that time, there was only one, in understanding there was only one sentence for murder, death. And you say that I've adjourned his case for sentencing. That means you're suggesting that I'm about to act completely contrary to law.
Wow.
And that is calling the court into disrepute.
Wow. Well,
and I was there and I was able to tell about just apologize and promise to correct it.
Right. That's powerful because I remember the Dame Joan, I don't remember what the matter was about. She made the Tribune apologize for weeks. They had this thing on the front page. Yeah. We apologize to...
I think that's it.
That might have been it, eh?
Yeah. Kyle Smith.
Okay.
Regina and Kyle Smith.
Yeah, for weeks they were apologizing.
But you see, Michelle Fox is a wise girl. She took some free legal advice and say she was sorry, and they apologized.
Wow. And today, she is now an officer of the court.
Yes.
This is powerful. Well, everybody know that Chrissy Love don't skylark. So we shall see whether or not wisdom do exist in her head. Chrissy, go to court, eh? You should always obey the summons. Go to court, grab your lawyer, or you can go by yourself. You're an educated, light-skinned Negro woman with a wonderful history of being a Thompson. I know you got Haitian blood. Tout le monde haïtien. Pray pour Chrissy Love, parce que c'est tête normale. L'année dans la bouche, parce que je passerai à peuple yo. Macrini.
Do you have something to say to the senator? Call Freedom March at 323-7775. Toll free from anywhere in the Bahamas at 242-300-0045. Freedom March with Rodney Monker, only on ILTV. This is Freedom March with Rodney Monker.
Welcome back to Freedom March, broadcasting live on ILTV here in Nassau, Bahamas. My name is Rodney Monker, and in studio with me is Mr. Wayne Monroe, QC, and of course a noted attorney. My producer, would you please cut off your telephone? I'm hearing everything y'all say. You're going to distract me. Pookie sa, yo back, compa. You're going to cause me to curse. And I'm trying not to curse because my wife is out of hospital. I'm trying to see if I could, not curse. Mr. Monroe, we were discussing, why is it important if a judge of the Supreme Court were to send a police orally to tell you to come to court and or to summons you, why is it important that every citizen should obey that?
Well, separate and apart from civility and decency, if somebody who can send you to prison sends for you, you really should go, and if only to see what is being said. At that point, you can be fairly safe because the rules would require you to know in advance what charge you face if they were going to take action against you. So you would know if they just say, come, summon yourself, come before me because of something, they can't deal with you that day. The most they could do is tell you about the subject matter, and then you would have to have an opportunity to go get a lawyer. But you always have...
Who all in the Bahamas are required to obey that?
Well, you're not required to do anything. They're just consequences to decisions that you make. You could choose not to go to court. If the judge then decides to commit you, that's what happens. But you could decide, as you yourself keep saying, we've become an uncivil, lawless society because there's nothing that you have to do other than stay black. Well, no, you don't have to stay black no more because they bleach these days.
Yeah.
So the only thing you have to do is die.
I got a phone call. Hello, welcome to Freedom March.
Hello.
How are you?
How are you?
Well.
And how is my cousin, Mr. Wayne Monroe?
I'm doing great. I ain't catch the voice.
Island, eh?
Yes, I am. I met him on the march the other day.
You marched?
You remember? When we had the march the other day, and I marched, and I came, I talked to you, and we were holding hands and taking pictures.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
this
You had hang all the murderers.
Yes.
This is powerful. You like the idea?
You all okay?
Well, I want to ask you a question. You like the idea of abandoning Rugged Island?
No, well, actually, my husband is a Rugged Islander.
Okay.
And, I have to do what he says. He says all the government need to do is put in the infrastructure and let the people do what they want to do. Why move them into another island? That's their home, and they should be comfortable once they do what they're supposed to do.
Yes, that is true.
That's his take on that.
This is what your husband is saying.
Yes.
Listen, I want you to obey him.
Yes.
As leader of the woman, then,
yes,
your husband is on the right track.
Yes.
And once you have a man who is on the right track, for heaven's sake, don't turn back.
And he's a God-fearing man. He's a Christian as well, so.
You are blessed.
Yes. Now, I have a question for my cousin. I'm glad you're on the show today.
Go ahead.
As a tenant, right?
Yes.
I'm responsible for buying up, I'm renting. Let's say I'm renting, and the hurricane came. Am I responsible to buy up the last building, or that's his job?
That's his responsibility unless you have a lease that obligates you to do it.
No, I don't have a lease with him. I signed nothing.
Yeah, but now that's the law on it, right? You got to be practical. Unless you're going to go leave the man place because it ain't protected, you would have to take a decision as to how best to secure yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be wise. So
Yeah,
it
but
may,
see,
it
the
may
other
be,
day, right?
it may be his responsibility. If he doesn't live up to it, then you have to do what you have to do if you want to be safe.
Right, and that's what I did the other day. But during Hurricane Matthew, we had some water flood in the store, you know, some water damage. And I went to him and asked him, I was in there cleaning up the water. And he wouldn't even suggest or say, well, I'll give you some of the money for you to get somebody to help and clean up the place.
Well, if it's uninhabitable, then you don't have an obligation to stay there, and then he might have to find another tenant. But fundamentally, most payment people do not buy renters insurance, although you can buy renters insurance to insure your, for want of a better word, stock in the premises. But, you know, we have to be wise because hurricanes come every year.
Right.
And it seems recently without fail.
Right.
Okay,
thanks. Take care.
Okay, take good care. I have another caller. Welcome to Freedom March. Hello? Speak to me.
Hello, Mr. Senator. How are you today?
Listen, God save the Queen.
How you doing today, Mr. Senator?
Cut off your TV because you ain't listening to me. I said, God save the Queen, and may God save the people of Ragged Island.
And to my...
from Dr. Minnis.
I don't think that...
Talk!
And to my cousin Wayne Monroe.
He just saluted you, his cousin.
Are you, cuz?
I'm fine, cuz. I read your mind. You know, every time I see you and the senator, you know, I feel good.
This is powerful. So, what is on your mind? What question do you have for Mr. Monroe?
Yeah, well, I told my cousin I got to catch that boat to go to Ragged Island. That's my home, not my daddy home.
Oh, yes.
Well, you better go before Dr. Minnis buy you from there. Because if you're abandoning Ragged Island after a devastating storm, I wonder what he can do when Nassau get a B blow. Anyway, take good care. Your cousin is in good hands, okay?
Thank you so much.
All right. Hello. Welcome to Freedom March.
Hey, Mr. Ranka, how you doing?
Listen, I'm happy my wife is out of the hospital. What's on your mind?
Oh, praise the Lord, praise the Lord. You've been praying for her, man.
I thank you for your prayers.
But, Mr. Monica, I've been thinking about your broadcast yesterday, you know.
Which one?
They want to do this mandatory evacuation, but spiritual advisor agree with, right?
Oh, yeah, the spiritual advisor did agree with it.
Yeah, but I was thinking that that's a beginning of martial law, you know. They can soon start martial law on everything. And that's the beginning of the erosion of democracy.
Well, they can. I keep hearing people talk about mandatory evacuation. If you look in the U.S., where they declare states of emergency and then have mandatory evacuation, the most that happens if you don't comply in most states is you're guilty of a misdemeanor and you pay a fine. But
you can't stay.
Well, put it this way. If that becomes a power, first the government would have to pass a law and have a constitutional referendum to affect the freedom of movement. Secondly, once you commit to the fact that you have a power to order me out and to evacuate me, if you do not evacuate me and I'm damaged...
Then you break the law.
No, why wouldn't I sue you to say that you ought to have evacuated me from Marshall Road, for instance, and you didn't? And then if you evacuate me from Ragged Island and I come to Nassau and somebody robbed me and injured me, why wouldn't I sue you? Because I asked you to bring me here.
And you also have to provide accommodation for me.
But more accommodation, yes, sir. But Mr. Monroe, sorry, I didn't know you was on the show. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Monroe.
Afternoon. But more importantly, why wouldn't we be evacuating people from the murder zone called New Providence?
Right.
Why wouldn't we evacuate all young men between the age of 17 and 27 from the inner cities?
Right.
Right.
So you see how
You're right,
stupid it
Mr. Monroe.
becomes? Anybody got another call? Take it,
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, and you all have a wonderful day.
Okay, hold that thought because that's important. That's on my mind all day. Hello, welcome to
Mr. Monker.
Hello, my dear.
And good afternoon to you, Mr. Monroe.
Afternoon.
I trust that both of you are well.
Oh, yes.
What I want to know, Mr. Monroe, based on what I saw in today's Guardian and Tribune, do you know if there's any plans in place to do maybe like a telethon to get some assistance for the persons in Ragged Island, or what type of things do they need? So if any persons want to donate anything, do you have anything in place yet? The persons who may want to donate items to residents of Ragged Island, where can they take the stuff, or what type of things are really needed?
I know that the representative for the area, Chester Cooper, has a fund up, and he gave details on his Facebook page.
Okay.
The descendants and residents who met last night formed some committees. I know I heard last night that David Wallace, I guess you call him a comedian, eh?
Yes.
Who hails from Ragged Island, has offered his services in putting on a benefit.
Okay.
And so also Keishan Monroe, the artist who did the Swan Song of the Flamingo and a lot of other works, has agreed to participate. So we're organizing ourselves to raise funds to help the residents who need it.
Okay.
We're appealing to anyone who can assist. Obviously, the first step is to make roofs watertight and probably with ice and water shield immediately so people can have somewhere to stay.
Okay.
And then we would welcome any contributions.
So once I contact you or somebody else, you would be able to tell us to direct where we want the stuff to go?
Yes, as I say, on Chester Cooper's Facebook
page. Okay.
He has an actual fund set up through the Chamber of Commerce. Elliot Lockhart, QC, who was also born on Ragged Island, is going to reactivate a non-profit that we have that he is incorporated for the redevelopment of Ragged Island and the development of Ragged Island.
Okay.
And so we will be calling on all these many people who from Ragged Island, because plenty people from Ragged Island, they was having 20, 30 children back in the day.
All right.
The people in Ragged Island
Okay, thank you very much. God bless you both, and God save the Queen.
God save the Queen. So Monroe, they did lots of reproduction in Ragged Island.
Oh yeah, you had people. If you had
how the reproduction come in?
But a month it was simple. It wasn't no TV, right?
No TV.
Wasn't no Facebook.
No Facebook.
No social media.
No social media.
Back when I was born, there wasn't no electricity. So
what people did for recreation?
When it get dark, you go to your bed. and 9 months later.
We have to go back to those days.
Well, you know.
We have to go back to that, right? This is powerful. Interestingly, I just came across a text that was sent to me on the 23rd of August, and I didn't read it. Listen to what the text says. Good afternoon, Mr. Monker and spiritual advisor. We in Exuma needs doctors and technicians at the hospital. So tell Dr. Dwayne Sands that. Dr. Sands, I got this text on the 23rd of August this year, and for the first time, I'm reading it. So it appears then that the former residents and descendants of Ragged Island will mobilize to get resources done.
Oh, yes.
And while my spiritual advisor is in studio, having just arrived, spiritual advisor, Mr. Monroe has a mail boat.
No, I don't have a mailboat. The proprietor, the owners of the mailboat are from Ragged Island.
Which mailboat
Farther
is this?
still, the Ragged Island that goes to the Exumas and Ragged Island.
Who's the captain?
The captain, C. Etienne Maycock.
I believe I know him.
Yeah.
Normally when I go on the mailboat, they allow me to go into the captain's cabin.
Yes.
This is powerful.
Yes.
I think we have a phone call. Hello, welcome to Freedom March. Are you there?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Monker. I'm calling all the way from New Jersey.
Really?
And I wanted to tell you that my mother, Grace Thompson,
Yes.
and Charlene Thompson, I'm Charlene Thompson, and we are listening all the way from New Jersey.
Wow.
And we are one of the women them.
Oh, praise
we want
the
you
Lord.
To continue the great job that you are doing.
Oh, thank you. Listen, I'm so happy that we are now influencing the state of New Jersey. I thank you. Tell your mom I send my love, and I yearn for the day when I would be able to meet her and you.
Oh, well, we will be in the Bahamas very soon, so we will be in touch.
Well, when you arrive,
just continue the great job.
We shall do our job. I thank you. You are very, very kind. This is powerful.
Thank you.
God bless you, and God save the Queen. This is powerful. Well, Monroe, the storm has spared the majority of us, notwithstanding the fact that we have had the devastation. And I'm so upset over how the Nassau Guardian is writing all kind of editorial, unsafe editorial, right? They tell us God didn't save us. They are challenging my faith. But before you respond, I have another caller on the line. Hello, welcome to Freedom March.
Hello.
Hello, my sister.
Yes, is this Mr. Rodney?
Yes, this is
Mr. Monka.
My love.
My name is Rosalie Lightfoot, but my mommy is from Ragged Island.
Wow. Go ahead. Don't
my dad is my grandfather was Nathaniel Moxie from Ragged Island.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't have a chance to get to see over that place because they all died.
Goodness of mercy.
Yes, but the Monroes, the Locketts, and all them, they are my family.
This is powerful.
Yes.
Listen, I don't know what you're doing, but a mail boat is getting ready to go down. You might be able to go this time, but you got to go to your ancestral island. What you say?
Well, right now, as it is, I tending doctor over here now.
Okay, then.
Yes, I'm tending doctor.
Well, I wish that you
would
heal.
So I just called to let Mr. Monroe know. I ain't trying to buy family, but he could be one of my family from Ragged Island.
Oh, listen, yes, are you the librarian?
I'm married to a Lightfoot, but my mommy was a Moxie from Ragged Island.
Where you live?
I live in Yellow Elder.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, but I know Mr. Monroe, but he may not recognize who I am, but I know Mr. Monroe quite well, and Elliot Lockett, all of them is from our family.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Monroe's your family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so I will get to meet Mr. Monroe soon.
Well, listen, I'm organizing a march for this month.
Yes.
And so if you really want to meet him, you got to come to the march.
When that will be?
Well, I think it's going to be maybe the first week in October. I got to go look at the calendar and talk to other interested party. But as soon as I get a clear sign, it ain't going to be no hurricane, being a march.
Okay, what I want Mr. Monroe to do for me, please, take my phone number.
Okay. Monroe, you have pen and paper?
Go ahead.
Okay, my number is 326.
Yes.
8733.
Okay.
And that's, you call me Rosie.
Rosie.
And I'm married to Lightfoot.
Okay. Rosie.
Lightfoot. Lightfoot.
Now listen here, when you're spelling, you got to say capital L-I-G.
Capital L-I-G-H-T-F-O-O-T. Lightfoot.
Don't ever forget it, eh?
All right, well, you could have my number 801-2182.
Let me write it.
12182.
102182.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Monroe. You all, Mr. Monroe and Mr. Monterp.
Yes.
You all have a blessed day in the Lord, okay?
Now, before you leave, are you one of the women there?
If I was one of the women there?
Yeah.
When you said that, what you mean?
Okay, you're not one of the women there. Listen, I'm the leader of the woman there.
I am a leader.
Okay, then. You and I will talk. And when I see you, I'll have to submit you.
Yes,
ma'am. I was writing your number and then I got interrupted just now. Give it to me again, please.
801-2182.
801-2182. 82. Okay, darling. You all have a blessed day in the Lord now.
Do well, Sister
And you all
Lightfoot.
continue what you're doing, Mr. Munker.
Okay? But I
Okay,
need you to become one of the women, them, okay?
Hesitation says no.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is powerful. So, the storm has devastated the southern part of the Bahamas. We here in this area, we have survived it. Unfortunately, Grand Bahama has been devastated to a very large extent.
Again?
Yeah, well, they said they had
Tornadoes.
They go round and
Tornadoes.
round. And the people in the Nassau Guardian seems to be unsafe. And then ministers name a financial secretary who don't believe in God. And
Now, you know the FS is my cousin too, right?
who's your cousin?
Marlon.
Yeah, I know. That's Edmund Moxley's son.
Yeah.
I mean, his father was very tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I almost remember when, because me and his father is very tight. But your cousin needs Jesus.
Well,
He say all kind of bad things about God. And ministers got him in the Ministry of Finance. Now, if you put an unsaved man in the Ministry of Finance, don't get upset when unsaved things begin to happen. But that's your cousin, so we leave your cousin alone.
I'll say this in defense of him.
Okay.
It's perhaps better to be an atheist if you do bad things than to do bad things when you profess to be a Christian.
But we all have sinned. We all have sinned.
But at least the atheist, when he does bad things, people will say, I know
Yeah, but he's
why.
playing atheist. What he doing? He just gone away to the States and come back an atheist. Right? Then at the Nassau Guardian. All right? Candy and them got a bunch of unsaved people. They tell us God ain't save us from the hurricane.
But
Well, since God didn't save us from the hurricane, I'm going to ask that something happen. But hold on, I'm saved by the phone. Hello. Welcome to
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Munker.
Hello, my dear.
And good afternoon to the other two gentlemen.
Okay.
I have a question. It's not related to the hurricane.
Ask
I
any
wanted
question.
to ask
Mr. Monroe?
Mr. Monroe, thank you. What can we do for persons who were involved in that pineapple scam?
What pineapple?
the Ponzi scheme.
Oh,
Yes,
oh,
because here
okay.
it is. We still have not gotten back our money. And I wanted to know what else can we do? Isn't there something more that the police could do to help a person who was scammed?
Well, the issue will be whether or not the persons who took your money have anything to disgorge. Sometimes, things happen so that you learn a lesson.
I agree.
And the lesson that you may learn is that their money must come from somewhere. And so if these people have money, surely the regulator, the police can charge them with an offense if there's one made out. If you can locate them and know who they are, you can sue them. But regardless of whether you do that or not, you should at least seek to learn the lesson.
Yeah.
So that the only thing that is truly free is salvation.
I agree.
And not being free because somebody paid for it for you too.
Yeah.
Right.
I wanted to know, before you hang up, Mr. Munger, so do you think persons should get a lawyer?
You can certainly consult somebody, but you're going to need information, who this person is, what do they have, and then you can move from there.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay, I got to let you go. Hello. Welcome to Freedom March.
Hey, good. How you doing, Senator?
Right here, my brother.
Excellent. Good afternoon, QC. How you doing, sir?
I'm good.
Excellent. And good afternoon, Spiritual Advisor.
Hey, Antoine. What's up?
Everything good, sir. Good afternoon to the nation. I just wanted to chime in as it relates. I tuned in a bit late, but there's something that's been bothering me over the last couple of days as it relates to the happenings surrounding the national emergency as it relates to Irma, right? And what has been happening as it relates to NEMA. It's a very sad day in our country where we have a national emergency that is being politicized by followers of a particular political party. You know, Nima after Matthew should have been prepared and more or better prepared for the next hurricane. And so it is expected that when you have an able captain, an able director as Captain Russell, you expect that he would continuously improve his performance and him and his team's performance in the execution of duties on behalf of all Bahamians. And that has nothing to do with red, yellow, or green politics. Bahamians need to stop this nonsense as it relates to national emergencies in this country. And when we have a prime minister who is supposed to work with the opposition, we need to stop this nonsense as it relates to trying to put it out there that this one is better. That is absolute nonsense.
Well, Antoine, I have to let you go because the
standard.
clock is running out, but your point is well taken, and you need to come and join the march the next time. Take good care. Well, Monroe, the clock is running out. What is the final thing you want to say?
The final thing I want to say is I hope the storm is over now, and I hope these people ain't bringing up another storm in Ragged Island. Because if they try to move people from Ragged Island, there'll be a storm that would make Irma look like a tropical storm.
Oh, it might be a great. Dr. Menace, rethink this policy. I think it's silly. Okay? I have to say it. That's the price of a democracy. Take good care. Wayne Monroe, give me
The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by Rodney Monker, his guests, callers, and advisors on Freedom March are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production unit of ILS, the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without the express written consent of the Verizon Media Group. Freedom March is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2017. All rights are reserved.